What if you paused 10 seconds before reacting? Let me ask you something real. How many times have you said something in anger that you immediately regretted? How many texts have you sent in the heat of the moment that you wished you could take back? How many relationships have been damaged because you reacted instead of responded? We've all been there. Someone says something that triggers you. Someone does something that makes your blood boil. And before you even think, you're already reacting. You're already firing back. You're already saying things you can't unsay. But here's a question that could change everything. What if you paused 10 seconds before reacting? Just 10 seconds. That's it. I know what you're thinking. 10 seconds? That's not going to change anything. I'm angry now. I need to respond now. But that's exactly the problem. That urgency to react immediately is what gets us into trouble. That need to defend ourselves right away is what damages our relationships. That impulse to fire back instantly is what we regret later. 10 seconds. It sounds simple. Almost too simple. But in those 10 seconds, everything can change. Think about it. In 10 seconds, you can take a deep breath. You can say a quick prayer. You can ask yourself, is what I'm about to say going to help or hurt? Is this reaction coming from anger or wisdom? Will I regret this tomorrow? 10 seconds gives your emotions time to settle. It gives your brain time to catch up with your feelings. It gives the Holy Spirit time to speak before your flesh takes over. The Bible talks about this in Proverbs chapter 19, verse 11. It says, "Good sense makes one slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook an offense." Slow to anger, not quick to react, not fast to fire back. Slow, intentional, thoughtful. And then it says something powerful. It's your glory, your honor, your strength to overlook an offense. Not to explode over it, not to prove you're right, but to have the self-control to pause. That pause is power. That 10-second gap between what someone says and how you respond is where wisdom lives. That's where maturity shows up. That's where God can work. But we skip the pause. We go straight from offense to reaction, and then we wonder why our relationships are broken, why we keep having the same arguments, why we can't seem to control our temper. Let me tell you about someone I know. We'll call her Maria. Maria had a problem with her temper. She was a Christian. She loved God. She went to church. But when someone pushed her buttons, she exploded. At work, if a coworker criticized her, she'd snap back immediately. At home, if her husband said something she didn't like, she'd escalate the argument in seconds. With her teenage kids, every disagreement became a shouting match. And afterward, Maria would feel terrible. She'd apologize. She'd pray. She'd promise to do better. But the next time someone triggered her, the same pattern would repeat. One day, her pastor preached about Proverbs 15, verse 1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Maria felt convicted, not condemned, but convicted. She realized that her harsh reactions were stirring up more anger, not solving anything. Her quick responses were making everything worse, so she made a decision. She decided to try something radical. Before reacting to anything that upset her, she would pause for 10 seconds, count to 10, breathe, pray, then respond. The first test came the next day at work. A coworker threw her under the bus in a meeting, blamed her for something that wasn't her fault, in front of everyone. Maria felt the familiar fire rising in her chest. Her heart started racing. Her face got hot. She opened her mouth to fire back, but then she remembered. 10 seconds. So she closed her mouth. She counted in her head. 1, 2, 3. Deep breath. 4, 5, 6. Quick prayer. God help me. 7, 8, 9, 10. And then she responded, calmly. I see this differently, and I'd like to discuss it privately after the meeting. That's it. No explosion. No public argument. No burned bridge. Her coworker was shocked. Her boss was impressed, and Maria felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Control, peace, strength. The second test came at home. Her husband made a comment about her cooking. It was a small thing, but it hit a nerve. Normally, Maria would have snapped. "If you don't like it, cook it yourself." But she paused. 10 seconds. She breathed. She prayed. "God, is this worth a fight?" And then she responded, "I tried a new recipe today. What would make it better for you?" Her husband was surprised. They ended up having a normal conversation instead of an argument. And that night, they actually enjoyed dinner together. After 2 weeks of practicing the 10-second pause, Maria noticed something incredible. Her relationships were improving. Her stress was decreasing. Her peace was increasing. And people were responding to her differently. Why? Because she stopped reacting and started responding. She stopped letting her emotions control her and started letting wisdom guide her. She stopped being quick to anger and started being slow to speak. After a month, something even more powerful happened. Maria didn't need to count to 10 anymore. The pause became natural. Her default setting changed from reaction to response, from explosion to wisdom. And her family noticed. Her husband said, "I don't know what's changed, but you're different. Better." Her kids said, "Mom, you don't yell as much anymore." Her coworker said, "You're so calm. How do you do it?" And Maria would tell them, 10 seconds. I just pause 10 seconds before I react. All because of a 10-second pause. So here's the challenge I want to give you today. And I want you to take this seriously because it can transform your relationships. For the next 7 days, practice the 10-second pause. Every time someone says something that triggers you, every time you feel anger rising, every time you want to fire back, pause. Count to 10. Breathe deeply. Say a quick prayer. God, give me wisdom. Help me respond, not react. And then, after 10 seconds, choose your response. Not your reaction. Your response. Here's what you'll notice when you do this consistently. First, most things aren't worth reacting to. When you pause, you realize that half the things that trigger you are actually small, not worth fighting over, not worth damaging a relationship. Second, your words will be wiser. When you respond instead of react, you say things you won't regret. You speak truth without unnecessary harshness. You communicate clearly without destroying. Third, people will respect you more. There's something powerful about someone who doesn't explode, someone who stays calm under pressure, someone who thinks before they speak. People notice. People respect that. Fourth, your relationship with God will deepen, because in that 10-second pause, you're inviting God in. You're saying, I need your wisdom, not my emotions. And God meets you there. James chapter 1 verse 19 says, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. Quick to hear. That means listen first. Don't interrupt. Don't assume. Hear them out. Slow to speak. That means pause. Think. Pray. Then respond. Slow to anger. That means don't let every little thing set you off. Don't give your peace away so easily. This is biblical wisdom. This is what God calls us to. Not reacting from our flesh, but responding from His Spirit. You know what the 10-second pause really does? It gives the Holy Spirit time to work. Because when we react immediately, we're operating from our flesh, our emotions, our pride, our hurt. But when we pause, we're creating space for God. We're saying, I don't trust my first reaction. I need your wisdom. And God honors that. So starting right now, I want you to commit to this. For 7 days, practice the 10-second pause. When your spouse says something that irritates you, pause. When your kids push your buttons, pause. When your coworker criticizes you, pause. When someone cuts you off in traffic, pause. 10 seconds. Count, breathe, pray, respond, and watch what happens. Watch how your relationships change. Watch how your peace increases. Watch how your regrets decrease. Because the 10-second pause isn't just about controlling your temper. It's about inviting God into your reactions. It's about choosing wisdom over emotion. It's about becoming the person God called you to be. Proverbs 16 verse 32 says, "Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city." Ruling your spirit, controlling your reactions, that's real strength. That's real power. Not exploding on people, not proving you're right, but having the self-control to pause. If this challenged you today, leave a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. In the comments, tell me, what situation do you need to practice the 10-second pause in? Work, home, traffic? Be honest. Subscribe for more challenges like this. Hit the bell. God bless you. And remember, pause 10 seconds before you react. Your relationships will thank you.